Imagine this. You're living in a peaceful jungle village when suddenly the earth begins to move. Ants, not the tiny ones we brush aside every day, but billions of them, swarming like an unstoppable army. Hey everyone, welcome back to Real Screen, where we break down the most thrilling and mind-bending movies in just minutes. Today, we're diving into The Hive, 2008, a sci-fi horror that asks a chilling question. What if ants weren't just insects, but a super-intelligent force, capable of planning, building, and destroying everything in their path? It all begins when a strange object falls from the sky into the jungles of Cambodia. Moments later, villages are overrun by killer ants, attacking soldiers, burning through farmlands, and leaving nothing behind. The deeper people investigate, the clearer it becomes. This isn't just nature. Something far more advanced is controlling the swarm. Can humanity find a way to survive? Or has the next dominant species on Earth already arrived? Let's break down The Hive, step by step. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a recap. Now, let's get into The Hive. So, right at the beginning of the movie, we see that just before sunrise, a strange object falls from the sky into a jungle in Cambodia. A little while later, in a house near that jungle, we see a mother and her young son who have just woken up early in the morning, preparing breakfast, and suddenly, a massive swarm of ants appears and completely overruns the area. Then we're shown a breaking news segment reporting that villagers are terrified of these killer ants and are abandoning their homes in fear. After that, we're introduced to an ant expert named Claire Dubois, who tells the media that the ants might have been disturbed by something, possibly mining or some other underground activity, and now they're surfacing and becoming extremely aggressive. During the same media discussion, a man named Horace Lennart, who's a scientist at an extermination company called Thorax Industries, and also an old friend of Claire, says, "Come on, ants don't attack like this. This isn't some kind of fairy tale." Once the press conference ends, Claire gives Horace a call. She says, "You're making fun of me, aren't you? But I'm coming too. After you leave, I'll head to Cambodia, just to see what's really going on." Then we see Horace gearing up with his team, fully armed and setting out for Cambodia. Meanwhile, due to the relentless attacks by the ants, the Cambodian military quickly begins evacuating nearby civilians. But even during the evacuation, the ants show up, launching attacks on both the people and the soldiers, killing some of them completely. Because of this, the Cambodian army sets fire to the surrounding areas in an attempt to stop the ants. Soon after, Horace and his team arrive in Cambodia and begin discussions with the Cambodian military about what to do next. During the briefing, the military explains that the ants have become extremely aggressive and that they're unable to stop them. So, they ask Horace and his team to do everything they can to bring the situation under control. Then, we see Horace and his team gearing up for the mission. Alongside him are two other members, Cortez and Bill. As they suit up in special gear and prepare to head out, another team member named Debs gives them instructions and monitors their movement from base. The three of them make their way into an area overrun with ants and begin destroying them using the weapons they have. While Horace and Bill are pushing deeper into the jungle, searching for more ants to eliminate, they suddenly lose communication with Debs. At the same time, the two spot a massive number of ants forming into a strange, serpent-like shape. Shocked by what they're seeing, the two continue tracking the ants until a large group of them suddenly swarms onto Bill. Horace tries to save him by fighting off the ants, but one of them manages to crawl inside Bill's suit, go straight into his ear. Later, Horace brings Bill back to camp. But Bill starts acting strangely, and even when Horace questions him, Bill refuses to explain what happened. Later that night, Horace meets up with Debs and asks her, "Did you see that shape the ants formed together?" But Debs replies, "No, I didn't see anything. I didn't have signal at the time." Still, while the two are together that night, Horace starts sketching what he saw earlier, and during that moment, Debs shows him a series of satellite images that reveal strange patterns and structures in the destroyed crop fields. So, the next morning, the Cambodian military holds a small celebration to thank Horace and his team for their help. But strangely, Bill doesn't show up for the event. He stays away, somewhere else on his own. Later, as Horace talks to Bill, Bill says something unsettling. "The ants falling on me yesterday wasn't an accident. It was part of their plan." But Horace doesn't buy it. He doesn't believe what Bill is saying. Just as everyone's beginning to relax and enjoy themselves, the Cambodian military issues an urgent alert. An ant swarm 3 times bigger than before is approaching. Immediately, Horace calls Claire and says, "I need your help now. Get to Bantao Airport as fast as you can. So, early that same morning, Claire arrives at the airport, where Horace is already waiting to pick her up. As they drive together, Horace shows Claire the strange structural images. Claire, confused, asks if these are some kind of artificial structures, and whether the ants built them, something she finds nearly impossible to believe. But Horace replies, yes, the ants created all of this. Later, Horace and Claire head into a heavily infested area, and they are both shocked by how the ants behave. However, Horace's team has already set up perimeter defenses with their weapons to prevent the ants from reaching that location. Meanwhile, a Cambodian military officer named Chang takes Claire to another location and gives her a batch of ant specimens for her research. Soon after, they receive news that 50 villagers from a nearby area called Bunang are trapped. So before the ants can reach that village, Horace, Claire, and a rescue team, fully suited in protective gear, head out with the Cambodian military. As the evacuation begins, they start guiding villagers into secure boats. While doing so, Claire notices an ant nest nearby and goes over to investigate. But suddenly, a horde of ants begins pouring out of the nest. Horace rushes to her aid, attacking the ants and saving Claire just in time. Right then, Claire spots a little Cambodian girl nearby, alone and crying out for help as ants close in. Claire fights off the ants, grabs the girl, and runs with her. But the ants don't stop. They start chasing them. Horace, Claire, and the little girl jump into a nearby boat and quickly push off down the river, escaping just in time. Meanwhile, Bill is exploring another area of the village, trying to check if there are any ants nearby. While doing so, he spots an old abandoned factory and decides to head toward it. At the same time, Debs, who is monitoring the area with a drone, warns Bill not to go near that factory. But Bill ignores the warning and keeps moving. So Debs quickly contacts Cortez, who is stationed elsewhere nearby, and asks him to go find Bill immediately. As Cortez searches for him, he finally catches up with Bill, and the two of them head into the abandoned factory together. Inside, although there are massive ant colonies scattered all over the place, neither of them actually notices anything. They continue inspecting the place, and suddenly, Cortez sees a huge cluster of ants up on the roof. Trying not to alert the ants, he quietly tells Bill not to make any sudden moves and slowly raises his gun to shoot at the roof. But just then, the ant that had crawled into Bill's ear earlier starts moving again, causing him to scream in pain. That scream triggers the entire swarm on the roof, and within seconds, all the ants come crashing down onto both Bill and Cortez. Bill manages to fight back and shoots the ants off his own body, destroying them. But unfortunately, some of the ants get inside Cortez's protective suit and kill him from the inside. Watching his friend die right in front of him, Bill is devastated, realizing that his own mistake cost Cortez his life. Meanwhile, back at the tent where Debs was stationed, another wave of ants begins closing in. Debs runs for his life, and just in time, Chang and a few others arrive and rescue him, pulling him to safety. At the same time, Horace, Claire, and the little girl they rescued, possibly named Ying, are drifting down the river in their boat. Suddenly, a massive limb-like structure made out of ants forms and reaches toward them. The boat is pulled ashore by this giant ant arm. But once they're on land, something strange happens. The ants don't harm them. Instead, they calmly point the trio in a specific direction, as if guiding them somewhere. Somehow, guided by the ants, the three of them enter a cave. Inside, they come across a strange device that seems to transmit electrical signals, allowing the ants to communicate with each other. From the looks of it, they realize it's something like a computer made by the ants themselves. Following the ants' guidance, they continue deeper into the cave until they're led to a specific place, where the ants begin to communicate with them using a series of visual images. Through this, Horace and Claire come to understand that the ants want full control over the island, and if that demand isn't met, they'll wipe out every human on it. At that moment, the ants take Ying hostage as a form of collateral and force Horace and Claire out of the cave to deliver the message to the others. So, once again, Horace and Claire set off down the river in their boat. Meanwhile, Bill, still heartbroken over Cortez's death, keeps walking forward until he stumbles upon a military vehicle. He hops in and leaves the area. Later that night, Horace and Claire are still traveling by boat, discussing the ants' demand. By the next morning, they finally reach the Cambodian military and are taken to the army camp. There, they see the body of Cortez laid out, confirming his death. After that, they meet with the army commanders and explain everything they saw inside the cave, including the ants' message. but none of the people at the camp are willing to accept those terms. Then Bill shows up and says, "Let's just bomb the place and wipe them all out." But Horace and Claire completely disagree with that plan. Thanks to Horace's insistence, the military commanders eventually agree to give them 1 day to negotiate with the ants. While discussing what to do next, everyone still mourns the loss of Cortez. After that, Davis joins Claire and begins helping her analyze the killer ants they've collected from different locations. Meanwhile, back at a secluded area, Bill is alone when one of the top Cambodian army officials arrives to speak with him. But what the two of them talk about isn't revealed to us. So anyway, by early morning, Horace, Claire, and Bill head back to the ant-infested cave once again. Just like before, the ants don't harm them in any way. While they're exploring inside, Bill starts taking photos of anything unusual he sees. Eventually, they reach the spot where Ying is being held, and to their surprise, they find her completely unharmed, peacefully living among the ants. As the ants begin communicating with them again through visual projections, Bill suddenly feels the ant inside his ear twitching again. This time, he can't take it anymore. In a moment of desperation, he pulls open his jacket, revealing a bomb strapped to his body. That's when we realize Bill must have discussed this plan with the military leader the previous night. Even though Horace and Claire had no idea about this and beg him not to do it, Bill doesn't listen. He says, "I'm going to wipe them all out," and tells Horace and Claire to get out of there immediately. Suddenly, the ants launch an attack on them. Horace and Claire, now with Ying, rush out of the cave as fast as they can. Somehow, the three manage to make it out. Then, Bill also steps out of the cave and tells Horace, "There's no time to wait. You need to leave, now." And right then, a gigantic ant, made up of a swarm of smaller ants, emerges. Without hesitation, Bill activates the bomb and charges straight toward it, blowing it up. After the explosion, Horace, Claire, and Ying look up and see a strange glowing mass of light rising into the sky from inside the cave. And then we can realize it's the same mysterious object that fell from the sky into the Cambodian jungle at the very beginning of the movie. Now that the ants no longer pose a threat to humans, the Cambodian military safely escorts the locals back to their villages. And finally, the movie comes to a close with Horace, Claire, and Ying sitting together, quietly gazing out toward the distant Cambodian mountains, bringing this strange and intense journey to an emotional end. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I really appreciate your time and support. If you enjoyed the recap, please consider subscribing to the channel, giving this video a like, and sharing it with your friends. Your support helps me bring you more amazing movie stories every week. See you in the next one.